Warm welcome. You're watching Times Now and I'm Meghna Rekha, and it's time for a super Times Now exclusive. This is the brutal death of Umesh Kolhe. Kolhe wasn't just murdered, he was executed ISIS style. He was made to kneel down and his neck was hacked repeatedly by his 3 attackers. Well, Times Now pieces together 6 CCTV footages, as you can see on your screens, to reconstruct just how Kolhe was headed home when he was ambushed by his killers, who were waiting in the shadows for him. We will get your son's voice. He narrates just how his father was hacked to death and how he died face down on the street, betrayed by his friend. But let's first get you the entire sequence of events. Well, it starts first with the visual of Kolhe headed back home. This is the video of Kolhe in the first scooty that you can see. This is Kolhe. He's headed back home. For him, it's a regular day. After sitting in the pharmacy the whole day, he, along with his wife and son, the wife and the son can be seen following him in the bike, following the scooty where Kolhe was headed. He was the first bike, and followed by it was the second bike where you had his son and his wife. They were all 3 of them headed back home. The second CCTV footage. This is where the entire plotting, planning and the assembling of the killers, as they are accused of, happened. What you can see in these visuals are the killers who are waiting to ambush. They can be seen waiting here. This is minutes before the murder. All 3 of them can be seen standing there in the shadows. Remember, this is roughly 10:25 p.m. when you can see the killers waiting for Kolhe to arrive. They knew his route, it appears, because he would head back from the pharmacy to his home every day, taking the same route, and that's exactly why they were laying in ambush with the knives ready to strike at Kolhe. We're going to show you the next CCTV footage. In the next CCTV footage, you can see how the killers are there along with each other. They get onto the bike, all 3 of them. Then one of them goes ahead and the others are waiting. This is part of the planning. You can see how they had planned all of this. They were waiting to ambush him. It was not a crime which was spontaneously occurred. It was not a murder which had happened. It was pre-planned and executed to perfection. And the next CCTV footage that we are going to show for you, Times Now has managed to access 6 of them. The next CCTV footage shows how he was brutally ambushed and then assaulted. Kolhe can be seen here being repeatedly hacked to death. In this video, you can see how Kolhe was made to kneel down. Well, here is where Kolhe is. He was made to kneel down. This is very akin, remember, to the ISIS-style beheadings that we have seen in so many gruesome videos which are usually being released by these terrorist organizations. And all 3 of them, attacker 1, attacker 2 and attacker 3, can be seen surrounding him, ambushing him. As you can see, these are the 3 attackers, and on the ground, being made to kneel down is none other than Umesh Kolhe, a 54-year-old pharmacist. The next CCTV footage, and despite the grainy quality of the CCTV footage, the brutality of the murder is very, very visible, as attack after attack, stab after stab are being laid on Kolhe. You can see how 3 men repeatedly hack into his neck. Kolhe's son has spoken to Times Now. He tells us that they were trying to behead him. They were trying to chop his head, separated from the rest of his body. Sartan se juda, as many have called it in the past. And then you have the final CCTV footage of the 3 killers making an escape. You can see the 2 of them get onto a bike. There is one of them who's clearly fleeing, the other one running along with the bike before he manages to jump onto the bike, and the third one who was walking by feet. Now you can see all of them running, leaving behind Kolhe. Kolhe died with his face down, lying in his own pool of blood. He was repeatedly stabbed and they tried to behead him. He was betrayed by his friend as well. These are the 6 CCTV footages that Times Now has managed to exclusively access. In fact, our reporter Arunil has this report for you.
Times Now has accessed 4 crucial CCTV visuals now. Now for our viewers, we will recreate the entire sequences on that fateful night of June 21st when Umesh Kolhe was hacked to death. Now this is the road to his medical shop, the Amit medical shop. From here, he came on this road, which is a secluded road. The visuals of that this road, in which the killers can also be seen, their bikes can also be seen, those visuals were captured on this CCTV camera. This is from the hospital near the murder spot. Now we will proceed towards the second CCTV camera. That is also a very crucial bit of information, because in that CCTV camera, it is clearly visible that how the killers, when they came to this road at 10:10 p.m. We'll show you the second CCTV camera. Basically, the second CCTV camera is also very important over here. This is on a school. It can be clearly seen, the CCTV camera. It helped us, it gave us very close visuals of the killers on the spot. The three killers who were sitting on the bike, it gave us very close visuals of those killers. In this corner, the killers were waiting for that crucial bit of information to be passed on to them. That information was that when Umesh Kolhe will be getting ready to leave from his shop. Now the third CCTV camera. Again, Mahesh Katkam will be showing you the third CCTV camera. There is a CCTV camera over there. In that CCTV camera, again, these three killers could be seen waiting for some time. Main CCTV camera is the one inside this school. That is very important, because that CCTV camera, if you look at the CCTV visuals of the actual murder that was committed, in that CCTV visual, it has been taken from a distance.
In fact, it's not just that. The controversy, remember, of Nupur Sharma is something which has been coming to light along with that. So let's also tell you how Times Now has managed to get you these CCTV cameras. But also there is a parallel story, how the controversy, all of it has been blamed on Nupur Sharma. And this is coming in not just from the ecosystem, but even the justices of the Supreme Court has said Nupur Sharma had set the land on fire. They set the entire nation on fire. In fact, one of the signatories who was part of the 117 former bureaucrats and judges is joining us live here on Times Now. Thank you so much for joining us, B.L. Vohra, IPS officer, one of the signatories to this letter. Well, Mr. Vohra, if you can just tell us, what is the contention that you have made in your letter, and why do you think that perhaps Nupur Sharma may not be the only reason for gruesome crimes such as this ISIS-type beheading that we can see on our screens?
First of all, let me make it very clear that Nupur Sharma was wrong when she made the statement about the Prophet.
Absolutely.
Here we are talking of a different thing altogether. She went to the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, as a petitioner, saying that so many FIRs had been registered against her in many parts of India, and her request was these may be clubbed together and transferred to Delhi. Any citizen can go to the court, so she went. The unfortunate part is that the honorable judges and the Supreme Court, everybody looks up to the Supreme Court, whatever they say, every word is like God's word, it's gospel's truth. So their comments, I think, could have been avoided, the comments that they made. Now it has given, a free license to many people to reinforce their view, some fringe elements, their view that she was wrong and she must be punished violently and otherwise. Our only request to the judges is that this Lakshman Rekha should not be crossed, because this will become a precedent. And then all the courts, other courts in India, they also will start, maybe some of them, they'll start talking in these terms. Secondly, as you said very rightly now, that this footage which you showed, that would not be definitely not the only reason for this killing of Umesh Kolhe also. There are people who are enraged. They have their own reasons. But I think this is too much taking the law into their own hands, whether it was there.
Mr. Vohra, now you mentioned this Lakshman Rekha. What is this Lakshman Rekha? Here on Times Now, yes, we wholeheartedly disagree with Nupur Sharma, and we feel that she should be punished, but punished as per the law of the land. What is this Lakshman Rekha that you speak?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. See, For the offense that she committed, cases have been registered. She must be punished according to the law. There are no two opinions about it. But here in this case, the judge's job is to consider the petition on merit and not make other observations which can harm others unnecessarily. That is the point that I'm making. What is the job of the police, for example? I'm a policeman. My job is to investigate, not to pass comments on X is bad or Y is bad, this, that, or he's good or bad.
Okay.
Every institution has its own role to play. Judges, they have to decide on the merit of the petition. The petition was this. Well, they did not give her relief. That's fair enough. I mean, that is their prerogative. This is what they thought. And they said that and the petition was withdrawn. And maybe they'll go to Delhi High Court. Maybe another petition will be filed. That is fine. So I think the honorable judges should have confined only to the merits of the petition and rejected it, which they did. That's okay.
Mr. Vohra, now interestingly, these observations which were made by the judges, this observation was part of the observations, but not part of the order per se, many would say.
So that is why I'm saying. But what happens is, the judgment people read later. And the observations, they get flashed immediately. This judgment takes time to be dictated, to come in the public domain.
Okay.
But whatever is said, immediately it gets flashed. And all the news channels flashed it like wildfire. It was there, that day we were all watching it on the television channels.
Okay.
See, as private individuals, they may be having this opinion. But I have no dispute with that. I can have an opinion. You can have an opinion. They can have an opinion. But to air it in public, in a position where it is not your job, I think that is what Lakshman Rekha,
Now, Mr. Vohra, it's interesting because you're talking about the Lakshman Rekha. Many have said criticizing the judge's observation is tantamount to contempt of court.
Well, it is not criticism. See, again, what I said was, it is not criticism. See, point is that if you utter anything, even in the media, you are in the media, if you utter something which can have effect on the public discourse in an adverse way, I'm sure you would like to avoid it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is what one is saying. So your definition will be different than my definition. Each one of us has utmost respect for the Supreme Court, for the honorable judges, for these individual judges also for that matter. But it does happen at times. Maybe, at that particular moment they got worked up. I can't say that. Maybe it was intentionally they said it. But whatever it is, my view is that such observations should be avoided.
Do you think an observation such as this fuels the entire frenzy that we have seen? This is coming in from a massive ecosystem as well, who've been calling for extrajudicial ways of killing Nupur Sharma. And one of them includes an AIM MP who said that she should be hanged in this very square.
See, the point is that these are, of course, wrong statements, but it depends on who's saying. But at the moment, you and me, we are talking of the judiciary at the moment, and the comments of the honorable judges of the High Court. We are only saying, see, politicians make all kinds of statements, and others also make. It's a free democracy, and I dare say that I think we are having too much of democracy these days now.
Okay,
and
too much of democracy and a person. Okay, go ahead.
So.
Go ahead, sir. This is quite an interesting comment that you've made, but okay, go ahead.
And then this hyper-connectivity, I think, that has made things very lively, interesting, knowledgeable, but occasionally they have an adverse effect on the society. But that apart, here is something very simple. You are a petitioner, you go to the court, please decide on merit, whether you give the relief or not. That's, I think, what it is. Judgment, as you know, came much later.
Yes,
everybody started watching the observations. Yeah.
Yes, and interestingly, all of these comments which were made regarding Nupur Sharma, none of it was part of the judgment. All of that was only part of the observations. It was not there in the order.
They cannot be, they could not have been, and judges were right, it was not there. The petition simply was, so many cases have been registered against me, I'll have to run from pillar to post, I'll have to go from one state to another state to another state. She didn't say you quash the FIRs, she said you club them together, bring them to Delhi, so that it's easier for me to attend that. No harm in making a petition. You can go to Supreme Court, I can go to Supreme Court, everyone can go to Supreme Court.
So Mr. Vohra, a former IPS officer, says there is a Lakshman Rekha. It's a fine Lakshman Rekha, but it is there, and perhaps one shouldn't overstep it in their zeal. And perhaps that Lakshman Rekha is there for everyone.
See, stepping the Lakshman Rekha can have, adverse effects.
Absolutely, and adverse effects we have seen.
So it's
in
good
some
to
of the
avoid.
Chilling threats also which have been coming in. Thank you so much, Mr. Vohra, for speaking to us. He is, of course, one of the signatories who has written regarding the Nupur Sharma incident.